Hi, welcome to Making All the Plans. I'm Connie, and if we haven't met before, I'm a busy mom of 2 active kids, and both my husband and I have full-time careers. My goal is to share with you how I stay on top of all life throws at me in one planner so that you might be able to do the same. I have been using the Passion Planner free printable weekly layout for my weekly spreads, and today I thought we could check out some of the other free goodies from Passion Planner's website. And if you haven't checked out Passion Planner's free printables, you're definitely missing out. Head over to their website and choose the free printables section. I will link it down below, but trust me, it's like finding a secret stash of planner fun. I love Passion Planner's monthly calendars and goal setting pages, but today we are going to plan out next week, and I'm going to pick a few things that I can just incorporate into my current daily spread. So I think I'll pull this extra to-do list, the habit tracker, and then let's just look through and see if there's anything else I want to pull for the week. But as you can see, there are a ton of free printable options. I grabbed the meal plan and grocery list, but I think I'll also grab the water tracker. There is so much available here where if you couldn't afford a planner or if you weren't sure that you wanted a passion planner, you could try all of their products out here. And I've really found like it's a great way for me to sample their things. And I'm not into bound planning, so I really love Passion Planner's printables. They also usually give you multiple sizes you can print at, and also whether you start your week on Sunday or Monday. So I think that's great because I do start my week on Monday, and it really throws me off if part of my planner starts on Monday and the other part starts on Sunday. So let's get back to my weekly packet, which is what I like to call it. This first sheet is my week's goals. But I haven't been writing a lot on this page, so I thought I would put my meal plan here so that I could see it front and center and I could have a little room left. I did print this at 2 sizes. If I wanted to have a full sheet, I could, but I really wanted to use that space down below my goals for this area instead of using that little space on the left sidebar of my week, but I really thought I would put it front and center and just give myself some more space to plan this week. So I'm going to go ahead with this half sheet. I'm just going to use my paper trimmer to trim tight around the edge of where it prints, and then I will tape it down to my spread. This is my favorite paper trimmer. I do have a few, but this is the Fiskars paper trimmer, and you can't see it, but there is a little silver wire that I just line up where I want to cut, and then I run the blade across the paper. It does have cut marks where you can cut it down to certain paper sizes, but really I just wanted it to fit below my goals area for the week, so I just wanted to cut it as tight as I could. You could use any adhesive to tape this down. I am using my ATG tape gun. However, any tape runner, glue, or even if you wanted to just use washi tape and leave a little thicker border around the edge, you could do that as well. I know a lot of us have plenty of washi tape to do that, but I just centered it in the middle of the page so that I could get out some more stamps for this week. Really had fun stamping in my planner last week. These are the Sketch Ranunculus stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I don't think it's available anymore, but they do have a few that are very similar, so I will link those below. But I did also get some new ink from scrapbook.com, so I'm trying it out. I don't know if I like it or not, but I'm giving it a shot just to see. I do grab my whiteout pen just to white that line out since it is so dark before I go ahead and stamp the ranunculus over it. There are 2 sizes of the flower though, so I will use the big one in certain areas and the small one in other areas. And you will see that I don't get the cleanest stamp images, and really that's just because I'm not taking my time and making sure that I press across the entire stamp. But I honestly don't mind the messy look. I'm going to kind of scribble color these in, so I don't mind the messier, grungy look for this. I do clean my stamps with a baby wipe. It's probably not the best thing, but they are at my desk, and so they do get clean if I use a baby wipe. But sometimes you'll see the baby wipe, and other times you'll just see me go off camera and I'll wipe it and put it back on my desk. But I always clean my stamps. I try to keep them as stain-free as possible. And since I wanted to stamp multiple pages, I did go ahead and just get out multiple stamp blocks instead of having to put the stamps on and off the page. And then as you can see, I do stamp off the page. So instead of stamping on my mat, I did grab a little piece of paper to stick behind. So I did invest in some additional friction highlighters. I tried to use a non-erasable highlighter last week, and then 2 of my days got completely shifted around, and I was kind of stuck because I had to use whiteout, and then when you highlight over whiteout, it doesn't work very well. So I did go ahead and invest in some more colors of this friction highlighter. So I'm just testing these out to see what colors they actually are. The yellow is super bright, and the green, even though it is a fluorescent, it's not super bright. So I did like all the colors. I wish the yellow was a little bit paler, but it just probably won't get used very often. But all the other colors I really liked, and I was really excited about this gray color. So I am just going to pull the gray, one of the darker pinks, and the greenish blue color to color in my stamped images and to use for the week. So I love stamping, I love coloring in images, but it really does take some time. That's why sometimes I just grab my stickers, or I do something simpler, or I don't do anything at all on my planner. It really does take time to prep your planner, and sometimes I don't have time for the decorative element. So really, I am scribble coloring these flowers in. I do think they turn out pretty. I could have gone in with that darker, like the reddish pink, and done some highlighting, but really, I just wanted to balance the time that I spend in my planner. I don't want to spend all the time that I have decorating. I really need to spend time on the functionality of it as well. I do work full time, at least 2 days in the office, if not more, but I really don't have time during the week to do a ton of tweaking. So I want to spend this time also doing functional planning in my spread. So now you can see that I grabbed my Muji 0.38. It is not erasable because I tend to erase during the week. I try to make the things that I don't want to erase in Muji 0.38 so that I can't erase it. And then I do highlight the days of the week in the meal planner before I move on to the next pages. These are my routines and resets. I don't usually decorate those pages. And then we'll go to my weekly spread. And this is where I spend the majority of my time. I do want to try out some of these Passion Planner free printables. I just want to see if they add more functionality to my planner. So both the to-do list and the habit tracker are meant to go down in that bottom section of the planner. So I'm trying to decide if I want to have just one list and the habit tracker, or 2 to-do lists and the habit tracker, and then where exactly I'm going to end up putting the water tracker. But let me go ahead and get these things cut out, and then we'll figure out what to do with them. So I think what I'm going to do is put the habit tracker down and then put 2 to-do lists that kind of flip up so that you can see both sides. And I must not have printed these out at the right size, but I am just going to make them work. The first thing I'm going to do though is grab my whiteout pen and white these 3 areas out because the habit tracker will not cover those 3 sections up. And my whiteout pen is not happy with me today. I don't know if it's just because I haven't used it in a while or because the way it was sitting in the pen holder. So I do need to start storing that better. And now I'm going to try to figure out the best way to attach all of this to my planner page. These are really meant to just cover up the section that is already there, Not necessarily to make a flip out, but I am going to give it a shot. This is my first time trying to do this, so bear with me and let's just see if it works out, and then let's see if I like it at the end of the week. So I definitely want the habit tracker on the bottom, and you can still see the bar from the original, but I think that when I tape this down, it will end up covering that up, so I think it'll be okay. Then I'm going to tape the two task lists together back to back and upside down so that when I flip it up, the one is right side up. And now comes the hard part. How am I going to adhere this so that it flips up and it doesn't impact the rest of the page, if that makes sense? So my first try is to grab some washi tape that kind of matches the colors of my highlighters, but I just thought that I could alternate it across the page, and let's see where that gets us. So I think if I had printed things out in the right sizes, this would have worked just fine, but because I didn't and that habit tracker didn't go up far enough to cover up that top header, that's where my problem was. So that would have worked, and it laid flat and it was not impeding anything else. But because I did not like how it wasn't covering up that habit tracker, I decided that I would fold down the edge of where the washi tape was. I probably should have just cut it, maybe. Except I was trying to make it so that it covered up that header. Maybe I should have just colored that in black or used my whiteout to white it out. I'm not really sure. Or I should have just left it as it was, because even though it didn't look perfect, it was very functional, and like I said, it laid flat, everything was good. So instead, I grabbed my tape runner and folded over the edge and taped it down. And now it doesn't lay flat, so I'm going to try my best to try and get it to lay as flat as possible. I do glue that corner of the habit tracker down a little better, but as you can see, it probably is going to struggle to lay flat. So I did just keep trying to work on it. I put some more tape on the top just because I thought I needed that color there. I probably didn't. It could have stayed the way it was, but I don't like how, as you can see, it's kind of like puffed up, and I'm not loving that. I'm hoping that the more it sits in my planner this week, that it might get a little flatter. But honestly, if I can't come up with a solution to this problem, or if I can't get it to print out the size that I need it to print out, I probably won't do this again. But I do like the idea of having more space for my to-do list and space for a habit tracker. So I'll just have to play around with it this week and see how well it works for me. Also, do I really need that many spaces for to-do lists? That's another question that I've been asking myself since I have put this together. I did grab my bone folder and just try and crease everything down a little bit better, and it did help a little bit, but again, it's still not lying flat. But I do like the thought of having more space. And I'm going to be honest with you, I literally took this page and threw it in the trash and walked away and took a break because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep this in my planner this way. I am kind of a perfectionist, and if I could have my planner perfect, it would be. But again, I need to balance the time I spend making it perfect versus the time that I make it functional. So I'm really trying to go the functional route and not the perfection route. But now let's figure out where to put this water tracker. I did print the water tracker on sticker paper because I thought I would just want to stick it down somewhere. And instead of putting it under the folded to-do list, which is where I had originally thought about putting it, I think I don't want it covered up. I want it easier to get to. So I decided instead to cut each day out, and then I'll put each day on the actual day of the week, if that makes sense. I'll show you here in just a second. I did have to grab my poker tool because I cannot get the backing of these stickers off without the poker tool. I just barely poke it through the back of the sticker paper and the sticker comes right off of it. So I will just pull each one of these up and lay it down on the day. I also thought about tracing around them or making them stand out just a little bit more, but I figured as I colored them throughout the week, it would just make them pop. Next, I'm going to jump down to the bottom right area and draw in my making all the plans, just grid for the week. I will come back and add the tasks in later, but I like to put in a grid. It ends up being 8 boxes, so one for each day of the week and then one to decorate. Just ignore my crooked lines. I could get out my T-square, but really it doesn't bother me that it looks a little messy, especially since the stamps are adding to that kind of messy vibe this week. Then I'll come in and write my days of the week. I could also stamp these, but again, it's a balance of time. I'm not the fastest or best stamper. I do like to do it, but I don't do it often enough to be good at it necessarily. So I do just go ahead and basically scribble in the days of the week. I will then grab my stamps and decorate that bottom left-hand corner of the grid. And this is where I need to show a little restraint. I could stamp this whole page because I love this stamp set so much, but I am going to try to just limit myself to the areas where I don't think I'll need. So Sunday morning, I don't necessarily do a lot. I did not stamp very well, but I also didn't take my time and actually put pressure on the whole stamp. So it's not the stamp's fault, it is user error. And then I'm going to go ahead and white out that line from the meal plan area, and I'm going to use that area to stamp in since I have moved my meal planning to my goal page. And thankfully, I am embracing a little bit of the grunge look since I did drop that stamp unintentionally. So we'll see how this turns out. I do overlap a little bit of Monday, so I think I have enough room still where I can put to-do items in. I don't think I have any meetings on Monday morning this week, so that will be mostly task area, so I think it'll be fine. And then I am just going to go back in with my scribbling, coloring. I do like how this looks. I like it a little messy. Again, I could go in with that darker pink color if I wanted to, or I could go back in with my white pen and do a little highlighting. But I feel like when you do the sloppy pen, it kind of looks like it's highlighted and dark in other places. If I had taken just a little bit more time and pressed heavy on the dark spots, it would have turned out even better. But like I said, I do like this messy look, and I'm just going to go with it. If you feel like you want to color your stamps in more, then definitely do that. You could also use a colored pencil if you would prefer to not have any bleed through. There is a little bit, and I will show you that at the end, but I don't mind it, so I'm just going to go with it. And I don't necessarily need to use the highlighters to color in these areas, but I do know that these are the colors that I will use during the week, so I know that they'll coordinate. Sometimes it doesn't matter to me, but I'm really liking the erasable highlighter and how it does coordinate with my pages. So that is why I invested in some additional colors. So now I'm into the faith area of my planner, and I am just going to do a little decoration. This page may be changing. It is originally from SquairdPlans off of Etsy. I can link this down below. However, I use the prayer list a lot, but I don't use the this week section. It is just too much. It takes too much time. So I think that I'm just going to make the prayer list either longer or just take that bottom section out and let it be more decorative where I can draw or write, or just leave it open so that I don't feel pressured to fill in every single one of those sections. For her printable, I believe it was a monthly thing, not a weekly thing. So I do want to just make my life a little easier. I do have a lot of things I do on a daily basis. this doesn't need to necessarily be something that I do every week. I could just leave some blank lines and journal whatever I'm feeling if I need to. So that area will probably change soon, but I am loving the prayer list. And then I am going to point out the bleed through. Again, I'm okay with it, especially since I use this area to write in the Bible verses of the day. It will hide that pretty easily. So I am just going to decorate a few areas of this page, but I want to make sure that I leave plenty of room to write the Bible verses. That first block, I usually write a prayer or copy a prayer down that I want to use for the week. I have a friend that has lost somebody close to her, so that will be the basis of my prayer for the week. I do appreciate having it there, though. It just makes it easier for me to get focused right away when I get to this page, and I don't have to switch gears from tasks to prayer. It's already right here for me, and then I can use that as a jumping off point. In that box, I also have a little tracker, one for prayer and one for a Bible in a year. I am doing the Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike, so I am enjoying that, and this is my second year through, but I just like to track that I am doing those things. And then I have been working on this spread for so long that my camera actually died. I don't normally make my videos or take this long to get to this point of my planning. I usually like to get it done within about a half an hour, and I do speed my videos up some, so this has probably been close to 45 minutes at this point, if not an hour, after messing around with that little flip up. So I do like trying new things in my planner, but this is why when I find something that works, I usually stick to it because it does take a lot of time and a lot of investment into trying out new things. But like I said, I will give it a try this week, and then if I like it, I will spend a little bit more time making sure the things print out at the right size, and I think through how I adhere it to the page. So we'll see how it turns out. But this is how my packet for the week looks. I am going to just clean off my desk a little bit and actually get to planning out my week. So if you want to stick around for that, please go ahead and do so. If not, I will see you in my next video. The first thing that I do is highlight where I have meetings or appointments for the week. Sometimes I draw boxes, sometimes I just put like a little dot. Today I am going to just draw a line next to the times where I actually have appointments, but I just have my Google Calendar open to my right on my computer screen, and I am just looking at that and making sure that I get everything written down. It's a very light week right now, but I am guessing that I'll end up adding more things. Like I mentioned last week, I had done this with a non-erasable highlighter, and my whole week changed, and so it made for a very messy planner. And the messy part wasn't the problem, it was a meeting that took up the majority of the day got moved, and then I had a hard time getting my tasks written down for when that meeting was originally booked. So it just kind of threw me off. It was workable, but I like these erasable pens and the erasable highlighters. So I did go ahead and write down some of the errands that I thought of and my focus of the week, which is my goals. I want to try and get as many of January's goals completed, and then focus on what of my yearly goals I'm going to work on in February. So then I'm going to jump back over to this week's goals. And for my personal goal, I do want to work on photo maintenance. It was one of my goals for January, and I have done a bad job on it. I did start cleaning out my camera roll on my phone, but that's about as far as I got. For work, I want to get my study plan together for my certification. And then for making all the plans, I want to work on my February content plan. And then for my meal plan for the week, I am going to hold off on that. I need to go downstairs and do a freezer inventory so that I know what's down there. My plan is to eat out of the freezers so that we can defrost the freezer downstairs. Then I'm going to jump back over to my task lists. I am going to just write down the things that I have on the top of my head. And then I'm also going to look at my Notion list as well as the list from last week and see what I need to move forward to this week. So my first personal to-do is to finish reading the book Feel Good Productivity, and I'm doing a really good job on it. And I think I have listened to 3 audiobooks this month already, but one of my goals was to actually read a physical book, and I've just had a really hard time finding time for it. And then moving forward from last week, I also need to make a well visit for my son. Normally, I do that when we leave the previous year, but for some reason I didn't this year. I also need to get my daughter's jeans hemmed. She's had them for, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, and we haven't gotten them hemmed yet, so kind of a waste of time. I might have to return my Spectrum box, or we may be switching back to Spectrum. That's why I have the question. But let me just continue planning through the week, moving things forward. I am going to grab my highlighter and just kind of highlight the things that I did finish last week so I know that I don't need to move them over. And then I'll move over the rest or add them to Notion if they're not going to get done this week. So as you can see, my task list filled up quite quickly. And these will not be the only things that I do this week, but they are the main things that I have on my lists currently. If things come in throughout the day for work or for personal, I just write them on the day that they come in, assuming that I can get them done that day. Otherwise, they either go into Notion or go down here on the personal list. I'm also going to fill out the habit tracker. I don't really want to track, I don't know how many lines there are, 8 lines. I just want to track a few things. So I want to work out 3 times this week. I want to run with my son twice this week. And then I would also like to get up and get my butt moving in the morning, as well as try to cut soda out. It's been really hard this time to get the soda out of my daily habits. Then I'm going to go up to the top section and it says today's focus at the very top. And I'm going to work on what my focus is for each of those days. So Monday, I want to work on my returns. Really, that's Kohl's and Target. Tuesday, since I am going into work and I'm pretty sure the alteration place is right next to work, I will have to look it up. It moved, but I think it's still right by work. But I want to drop off my daughter's jeans to get altered. And then Wednesday, I want my focus to be Confluence, which is a work product. Thursday, I will be in the office and I don't really have any meetings, but this will be the day where I go and touch base with anybody or get any answers from people that I have been having a problem tracking down, things like that. My whole group is usually in the office on Thursday, so that's a good time for that. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is just making all the plans. I have a feeling that Friday will be a busy month, so I want to try and get ahead as much as I can. I will go ahead and start planning out what I want to do for the week. I would like to add more things for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but really the things that I'm putting in here now are the non-negotiable things that I need to get done. And then I will grab my highlighters and just highlight the days of the week just to make them pop a little bit. I think my plan is to use the gray highlighter to mark the things off that I have completed. And here I am just showing you that the highlighter and the pen is very erasable. And as long as you don't write and erase multiple times, I'd say 2 or 3 times is fine. After that, it gets harder to erase. But this is how the week is shaping up. I think I really like the color scheme. I think that it will be good. I do need to focus on the monthly reset since it is that time of the month. The task list already seems to be laying down a little bit better, so I'm happy about that. But I am liking how everything came together this week. And once I write everything in it, I think it will just be beautiful and motivating. But thank you so much for coming along with me. I am just going to punch this and get it in my planner. Just a side note, if you ever have problems getting things into your hole punch, it is probably because your hole punch needs to be emptied out. I couldn't get a single sheet in here, so I emptied out the hole punch and everything worked much smoother after that. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. But otherwise, I will see you in my next video, and I hope you have a wonderful week.